I have to tell you, I hadn't planned to say this, but I'm just going to say one thing that I found really exciting and inspiring today, which is really difficult, because popping in and out of sessions, there were a lot of things that I was like, wow, really? It came out of the finance panel, Rusty Clausen, the moderator over there. However, it was talked about in a couple of different places, and it's this idea of having a regional JPA that CCAs could come together in. So why is that interesting? And you say JPA and people's eyes glaze over. The reason I think it's interesting is imagine that regional entity being able to bring together a bunch of CCAs that now can solve their financing problem by aggregating together, can experiment with programming more effectively and make those investments, can learn more effectively from each other, and can coordinate policy legislative matters together. And I think you're starting to look at a force in California that's going to help shape the way the future of energy looks in our state. So maybe we'll talk about that at the next symposium, I don't know. But I do want to say that it does put a little pressure on those of you, Melody, who are in the audience, I don't know if Dave Pine's still here, who are forming CCAs. Because really, we don't have quite enough yet to do this. So the next time somebody on your city council says, well, what's the rush? Well, you can tell them Barry says that I want to get going on this idea. We need a few more CCAs out in the playing, in the yard to get that going. Okay, well, one of the other major themes of today has been community, and like getting a community choice operation up and running, putting on a symposium takes a community of folks. And I'm going to ask if the volunteers who are in the room now would stand up and if we could give them a round of applause. And CCP staff too, please join them. And how about the speakers and moderators of the panels, who are also all volunteers? Okay. Lastly, but by no means leastly, I want to thank each of you for showing up. None of the inspiring things we've talked about today could happen without your leadership, and will not happen without your leadership. And that starts by showing up and through our conversations. So thanks for joining in. In the end of 2015, something tremendous happened. Don't know if you noticed. 195 nations signed an agreement in Paris to keep global temperature rise this century below 2 degrees Celsius. I kind of feel like somebody should give a note to the Republican presidential frontrunners so that they realize it is not just a few rogue climate scientists anymore. Yes, it's true. This is a non-binding agreement that is late in coming, depends on voluntary actions, which even if they are implemented, will not get us to the stated goal, much less to the much saner 1.5 degrees Celsius limit that Angelina reminded us about earlier today. But it is an important first step. It's historic because world leaders have finally stood up and said clearly that we are no longer laboring under the delusion that this is not happening to us. Having admitted that we have a problem is the first step in the biggest 12-step program the world has ever seen. The next step is having a plan for recovery, no matter how inadequate. So although this agreement will not get us there, the glass, in my estimation, is a little more than half full. And that is because of the forward-leaning and innovative efforts of communities around the globe who have been finding ways to reduce carbon emissions while world leaders have argued about whether climate change is happening. And community choice in California is a shining example of this. And these efforts need to accelerate now for several reasons. First, we must stay below 1.5 degrees Celsius. A scientific paper out of the UK estimates that in a 2-degree warmer world, wheat yields will decline approximately 17% in a world with an ever-expanding population. And river flooding could impact an additional 110 million people a year, and on and on and on. So now I ask you, is 2 degrees Celsius a great goal or what? Second, we need to demonstrate that the clean energy revolution is a good thing and will bring new jobs and new opportunities, whether or not you believe in climate change. This will make a huge contribution to the political conversation in this country. It is inaction that will wreak havoc on our economy, not the reverse. And by the way, Advanced Energy Economy just released a report that shows that clean energy is now a $1.4 trillion global industry. That's trillion with a T. Almost twice the size of the airline industry. Third, we, and I say this especially at the local level, need to work hard to capture the benefits of the new clean energy economy for everyone in our communities, ensuring that this revolution does not leave behind so many. This is why local government must be involved. And at the same time, I want to reiterate what Lyndon said earlier. We need private partners to innovate, compete, and drive down costs. And finally, as Marshall McLuhan said, there are no passengers on Spaceship Earth. We are all crew. The incredibly rare gift of a planet like ours that sustains life in the vast cosmos demands action from us. So does the voice of future generations, if we but strain to hear it. So with all due respect, 2 degrees Celsius does not cut the mustard. It doesn't even come close. I prefer to hearken back to the words of JFK at a time when our nation faced a different challenge. He said, "So let us not be petty when our cause is so great. Let us not quarrel amongst ourselves when our nation's future is at stake. Let us stand together with renewed confidence in our common cause, united in our heritage of the past and our hopes for the future, and determined that this land that we love shall lead the world in new frontiers of peace and abundance." Now that is a goal we're striving for and operationalizing through local energy programs. So thank you for your indulgence. Thank you to our sponsors. We couldn't have done this without their help. And now it's time for happy hour. We have wine from Sonoma County Vineyards called the Reuben Family of Wines, and they emphasize sustainability in their winemaking. And we also have goat cheese from a fantastic little company, a sustainability leader called the Redwood Hill Farm. So you are in for a treat. Enjoy, and thanks again for showing up.